YouTubers. This is your girl Essie. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. So today, I told you guys Tuesday that I would come back. We're here for another caregiver chat, right? So thank you for joining my chat, whether you are watching this as the live is going on or if you're going to watch it afterwards, catch it on the back end. You know how it is. I know people are getting off work. I know, look, I just got off work. I know we're all tired. I know that we are traveling and things like that. So whenever you catch this live, if you stay tuned, thank you so much for watching it. Thank you for joining me on this chat. I'm glad that you've joined. You know, whether you're a full-time caregiver, a part-time caregiver, or just starting this journey, today's conversation is going to be tailored for you. I got my notes here, right? I got my notes, so you'll see me looking down sometimes because I have so much to share that sometimes I forget. And so I'm getting to the point in my life where if I don't write it down, you know I ain't going to discuss it, right? And that's not going to sit well with me because in the middle of the night, I'm probably going to wake up going, wait a minute. I didn't bring this point out. I didn't bring that point out. And that's not something that I want to do. So I've started writing down my notes and typing them out. And so if you see me looking down periodically, that's what we're going to be talking about. When you jump on or when you have a chance to comment, if you're catching this afterwards and you are a caregiver, let me know if you can identify with some of the things that we're talking about here. Let me know how you delegate responsibilities because that's what we're going to be talking about today. How to actually, the power of delegation, right? If you are a caregiver, it's so important to realize that you don't have to do this alone. The problem is, though, and you know, eventually at some point I'm gonna sip my coffee, right? The problem is though, that we sometimes we don't let people in. I don't know if we're scared to let people in. I don't know if we don't want to have those tough conversations to let people know that we need help. But we have to let people in if we are going to provide effective care services. Because what you'll find out eventually is that as a caregiver, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get burnout, you're gonna get exhausted. And so delegation is key. And it's not just for corporate jobs. You already probably know how to delegate if you are a parent and you are teaching your children how to handle their chores. And so, one of the things that you may do, you give them age appropriate tasks that they can handle, you give them assignments that they can handle. So, you already are a professional at delegation, but sometimes in certain parts of our life, we don't want to delegate responsibilities, right? Hi, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Today we're talking about delegation, how to do that as a caregiver. And so, where are you from? Just drop it in the chat. Tell me if you're a caregiver as well. And I said that I would be back on Thursday. So, this is where we are. We're back to talking about caregiving, but this time asking for help. Hello, how are you? I said I'd be back today. I'm back today. We're talking about delegating and how to handle those responsibilities. You're from South Africa. Welcome, welcome. I'm here in the States. I am on here because I said that we would talk about, as a caregiver, how important it is to delegate responsibilities. Welcome from wherever you are. And if you're a caregiver and you're just jumping on for the first time, this conversation is for you because we're going to talk about some tasks that we can use from Pakistan. Welcome. We're going to talk about different tasks that we can use or different things that we can do to ask for help as a caregiver. Continue to like the screen, guys. Give me some support. I really appreciate it. So tell me, because I got my notes here so you guys can see me looking down from time to time. Tell me if you are a caregiver, who you are a caregiver to. Is it your spouse? Is it an elderly parent? Is it a child? And so, as a new parent, don't be hard on yourself, right? That's the advice. I have 5 children. I have 5 young people, I call them, but 3 of them are basically, well, 3 of them are grown. My oldest one got married in May. And so, as a new parent, we have a tendency to be very hard on ourselves, right? Everything has to be perfect. Number one, get your rest. Number two, delegate, because this is also something that you're going to have to do, and realize that not everything is going to go perfectly, and that is okay. That is okay. Sometimes as a new parent, you know, I had to have everything in place for baby number one. And then once I got comfortable, my oldest 2 are 18 months apart. Once I got comfortable being a mom, girl, I let things go. I let it go. And I don't know if that anybody else understands that, but I realized that everything wasn't going to be perfect. But I, as a mom, as a caregiver, I'm still going to give my children effective care. And I still am going to make sure that they have what they need. As long as they are clean and fed and my home was clean and you know, properly presentable and I'm presentable, that was a win-win for me for the day. And if my kids were able to be happy children, then I knew that I was doing something that was right, right? Because my kids were not suffering doing. And so everything that needed to get done was getting done. So now getting back to caregiving and delegating, like I said, as a parent, if you're a parent, you already know how to delegate tasks because you already give your children assignments, don't you? You look and they're a toddler. Thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate it. You look and your kids are learning to walk. And so you're teaching them how to walk, right? But when they get to a certain age and they're able to maybe walk up the stairs or walk and you're giving them things that they can carry. Thank you guys so much. I'm here in the States, and yes, I am married. And yeah, I have 5 children. I'm happily married. And so but I am also a caregiver to my mom, who is immobile and who is older. And if you watch my channel, many of you will know my story. I became a instant caregiver, my children and I, when my dad passed away suddenly. And so we've been caring for the needs of my mother. And so I became very passionate. I'm still passionate about her care. Thank you so much for the hearts. You guys are awesome. And so as a caregiver, you really have to realize that if you're a parent especially, we've been caregivers for a long time. And you already know how to delegate, because when your children get older, you start giving them age appropriate tasks, don't you? So as a parent, you're a caregiver and you already know how to delegate because you're telling, your son or your daughter, take this from here to there. Give this to someone, right? And so you're teaching them how to handle tasks, how to help out. As your children get older, you're giving them chores and assignments. And so when they do those chores, yeah, it removes some responsibility off your plate. Thank you guys so much. It removes, responsibility off your plate, but you are learning how to delegate responsibilities. I'm gonna tell you what I had to do today. Woke up, I work full time in the midst of everything else and aside from launching this business, right? I don't know when I sleep, but I do sleep, okay? Thank you guys for the hearts. You guys are awesome. And so what I did this morning, I woke up into phone calls, meaning that I knew I had a set schedule for my full-time job. I had to get certain people off to school. I had to make sure that, things were prepped and ready for my meetings this morning. And I mean, I ran all day. I ran all day. I ran all day because that's my life right now. By a certain time, my mom gets up and I know she needs to eat for medical reasons. I know that we need to make sure that her room is clean and her bed is straightened up, and we have to help her throughout the day. And so at one time I felt like if it wasn't being done by me, it wasn't going to get done. But I realized, hello, Juan, how are you? Hi to everybody who jumped on. Thank you for all the likes and the hearts. I really appreciate it. Keep them coming, guys. I really appreciate it. And so what I did is realize I like to have dinner started. If I haven't cooked enough the night before, I like to have dinner started at least by 2 o'clock, because once again, my mom needs to eat by a certain time, right? And so thank you, Yo-Yo. You are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Girl, it's a work in progress, okay? It's a work in progress. I'm always learning. And so what I did, I like to have dinner started for my mom by 2 o'clock, because as a caregiver, I also have a set schedule. So in between working, I make sure that I get dinner started, because fortunately I am able to work from home. And so when I realized that I wasn't gonna get a chance to start dinner and I hadn't cooked enough, well, let me be honest with you. I have a family of 9. I cooked enough, but it didn't last, okay? And so when I realized that that wasn't going to happen, I had to start realizing, where can I alleviate some of the responsibility? Where can I delegate some of the responsibility? Because most of the people in my home, they work and they work outside. And then I have 2 minors who actually are school. So nobody really could help me to prepare dinner. And I'm also a woman who likes my family to be fed by time. I like food on the stove and the dinner to be cooked before they get home. Hey, how are you, Jackson? How are you? Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this evening. So what I did here in the States, I don't know if you guys utilize this too. I couldn't go to the grocery store when I looked around to see what I wanted to prepare. And so I ordered the groceries, which are going to be delivered. You might hear the doorbell soon. My son-in-law, who is now home from work, is going to go and actually cook the dinner, right? Because I've already delegated that responsibility, asked for his help, right? And then my other children are going to help to put the food away, organize things, and get the younger ones fed. And make sure that their grandmother is fed. That is delegating as a caregiver. And that's why it's so important that we have these discussions, because sometimes I feel like if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. But guess what? It will get done if I delegate and use the support systems that I already have in place. So let's go ahead and get started. You guys have told me where you're from. Let's get into why delegation really matters. So your primary caregiver, we already talked about if you feel like if I don't do it, it ain't gonna get done, how that really can cause harm to you as a caregiver. Why do I say that? Because you're going to have burnout. And yo, listen to this too. I know I keep talking about the caregivers, but if you're a new parent, this is also for you because you are the ultimate caregiver. See, the difference between being a new parent and someone in my position, I'm a caregiver to my mom. My mom is a full grown adult who can communicate. Her mobility is limited, and so she can't walk very well. She can't get around. And so there are things we have to do for her, but she can communicate how she's feeling. She can communicate and express to me, what she's going through. And so, oh, Jackson, welcome from Uganda. And so my husband is from Nigeria. So anybody from Africa, drop in a note and let me know where you're from as well. And so one of the things that, I have come to realize with her, at least she can express herself, right? With my mom, at least she can say how she's feeling. But whenever you give and you're responsible as a parent for a newborn child, you got to learn that language. And so being a caregiver is a little bit of a learn as you go. And so if you feel like, oh my goodness, my child is crying, you got to decipher what that cry means. Do I want to eat? Am I hungry and I want to be picked up? Do I just need some comfort, right? And so that could be a little bit more tricky, but you will master it, yo-yo, right? You will get it and you will be fine because you are the ultimate caregiver. When you're a parent, newborns, and every baby is different, right? I thought my second child was going to be just like my first daughter. Nah, she's not. They don't look anything alike. People have a hard time believing actually that they are biological sisters. And then their personalities are different. The way they were when they were babies were different. So, you have to learn your child. And so some of the things that we're going to talk about as far as delegation as a new parent is also important. And even though we are referencing caregiving, it is also something that you can use hopefully as a new parent. So thank you guys for the hearts. I really appreciate it. Give me the likes. I really appreciate it. Subscribe and share my channel because this is for caregivers. And I keep saying this. At some point in your life, you are going to be a caregiver. Believe it or not, I don't know if you believe me or not. At some point in your life, you're going to be a caregiver because you're going to render care to someone, whether it be your child, your parent, your spouse, a friend. If you choose this as a career path, you are going to be a caregiver. And so it's best now to find out techniques and processes that will help you be able to render care effectively so that you don't get burnout. See, my whole channel is dedicated to the caregiver because one of the things that I realize is when I push myself too hard, I burn out easily. And so I go through cycles of that. And then I've got to step back as a caregiver and go, wait a minute, what have I not done? What do I need to do different? So let's dig into the meat of delegation, which we said we would talk about today. It's not about giving up control, right? It's definitely not about giving control up. It's really about creating sustainability. So you as a caregiver, you will not be effective if you're tired, if you're angry, if you're ready to erupt, if you are so frustrated that everything is on you. And so as you realize as a caregiver that this is not giving up control, this is so that I'm able to live and still be able to have a quality of life that I need as a caregiver in order to render care, but also to get a break. You will realize how important delegation is. And then you also, in the midst of that, want to make sure that your loved one continues to get the excellent care that they need from you, from your family and support system, while you still keep and maintain your health and your peace of mind. How important is that? Well, my mom had a fall in March of this year. We were transporting her to and from the hospital. And so we have to have emergency services come in because, like I said, her mobility is not at all really existent, right? And so we had to have mobility come in to help her to go to the hospital. And that seemed to go pretty okay. But it was once we got her back into the house that we experienced some problems. And so when we were the guys that were there, and it depends on who you get for care, they literally, it was a different team bringing her back home. And when they brought her back home, they looked and they said, we're not doing that. And they left. Right? And when they closed the door, nobody else was home but me and her. And so my other children came home. We were all trying to help her with her mobility, get comfortable and into her room. And she got frustrated and she fell. She let go because she was so frustrated with her issues. And when she fell on my right leg and my kneecap popped out. I felt the pop, I felt the instant pain. I screamed out and I I still have problems with my right knee. Now, I am someone, if you've watched my channel for quite some time, you know, at one time I was excessively heavier than what I am now. I've lost 170 pounds. I go to the gym, I work out, but ever since that day, this knee has given me problems. And there are times when it gets swollen, my leg gets swollen. You know, I'm going to go to the doctor. It happens off and on. It's just been a hot mess on toast. But here's the thing, maybe I wouldn't have hurt myself if I realized that I couldn't do everything, right? Because in my mind, I've helped her before. I am strong, I can help her. But then look what happened when I tried to do it myself, even though my children were kind of spotting, I wind up hurting my own body. So if you learn to delegate as a caregiver, you will then realize that you need your health and your peace of mind to be an effective caregiver. Anybody ever gone through something like that? Drop it in the chats and let me know if you've ever hurt yourself as a caregiver, rendering care to the recipient. I know people who are caregivers who've hurt their backs, right? Or hurt other ailments, or they experience emotional and mental pain because of what they see the care recipient going through, or they're verbally attacked by the care recipient. And so I don't go through that with my mom. She felt really bad. She still feels really bad about what happened. However, this is why it's so important not to be the only one rendering care in times when you need help to step back. Now, Yo-Yo, as a new mom or a new parent, I don't know if you're mom or dad, but as a new parent, there are going to be times when you need to just step back for a minute, right? Not that your baby has it out for you. Let's be real. They are so cute. But if you do too much without asking help, sometimes you're just going to step back, catch a breath, right? And that way you refresh yourself, especially if you're a mom and you're nursing your child, and you also, you know, you are tending to be more hands-on. You're going to need break, and so you're going to need that support care and support system in place to help you get that. The one thing I love that I have experienced and I'm seeing more and more of with my husband's culture is that when you have a baby, and I don't know, tell me guys if this is in other cultures that I'm not aware of, because you know, when I had my children, my mom and dad came over, they were like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? Good to meet our grandbaby. Kisses, bye. But with other cultures, the mother-in-law comes or the mom comes and helps out, and they're able to render support services, which is really nice so that you can get some rest and relaxation, right? Because you need that. And so let me know, put it in the chats if you're in a culture where that happens, because that's where your support system starts. Thank you very much. That's where your support system starts, right then and there, right? With people helping you, with knowing how to delegate care and render those assistance and services. So that's a beautiful thing. Also, I want you to think of yourself as not just a caregiver. So many of us think I'm a caregiver, that's who I am, but you're a care manager. So if you're the one taking the lead, okay, for some reason, okay. Yeah, your family does that. Well, good. I'm glad that they're there to support you. My computer, my phone just stopped. You hear the doorbell ringing, right? That's the food being delivered, and they just now heard it. That's the second doorbell. So you know I was about to pause the live and go, will you guys get this food and get this meal done for grandma? But I'm not going to do that because I hear them coming now. Now, anyway, getting back to, because see, I'm a care manager, and that's where I was going with it, right? Don't think of yourself as a caregiver. Think of yourself as a care manager. So if you're the one at the lead, taking the forefront, you're the one taking the lead and helping to give care to the care recipient, you need to now then turn to other people who have offered support and manage that care when you can't do it. And so this goes into what we're going to be talking about as far as helping you to delegate care, coordinate, direct, and ensure that things run smoothly. Sometimes as a caregiver, when you step back and realize you need help, you have to coordinate additional care and support. You have to be able to direct what's going on in your home or with the care recipient. And then you also have to make sure that things run smoothly. You don't always have to be the one doing it, But as a caregiver slash care manager to that recipient, you want to make sure that it gets done. As I noted to those, and thanks to everybody who jumped on. Thank you for joining me this evening. We're talking about delegating services as a caregiver. And for Yo-Yo, this is for new moms, new dads as well, because you're caregivers. And trust me, you're going to need that support because you're not getting enough rest. You want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself because you're the caregiver to that newborn. And so as a new parent, these techniques will apply to you too. For those who just jumped on, tell me where you were dialing in from or logging on from for YouTube, and let me know if you are a caregiver as well. And then for many of you who have watched my channel, you know that I'm a caregiver to my mom. And I was just saying, I have to use this technique even today because I didn't have time to prepare a meal. The meal that I prepared that was enough for yesterday for a family of 9 miraculously disappeared into the stomachs of others. And so I had to make sure that my mom eats by a certain time. So I had to learn to delegate the responsibility, which is what they're doing right now. And it relieves some pressure off of me because I do a lot. And it's not to toot my own horn, pat my own back. What I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'm the daughter of a woman that I love. You know, I'm in love with my mom. I'm in love with my children and my family. I'm in love with my husband. So what I do is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm honored to be able to take care of my mom in this stage of her life. But I also know that I don't need to be burnt out and be exhausted because as a caregiver, that's not going to work for her and the family. So you guys let me know where you're dialing in from. And then also let me know if you're a caregiver. Now, have you ever felt overwhelmed? Have you ever felt like you had to do it all? And if you have, drop in the comments what you have felt as a caregiver overwhelmed about, right? What has gotten to you and what maybe probably took you almost to that breaking point, right? Where you're just like, I can't do it. And you would need to walk away. Now, we don't want anybody to get to that point, which is why we're talking about this today. And I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, because like I said, if I forget something, I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night going, I didn't even discuss that and I wanted to. So I'm looking at my notes so that we could go through this live and I can touch the points because delegation for caregivers is so key. Thank you guys for all the hearts. So here's something, this is how we can identify where we can get help. Now you're building your support system as a caregiver. Why don't you look at the task, identify what task you can get help with first, right? Whoever's hitting the hearts, the screens, please, I want to thank you so much for that. Also, guys, like and subscribe to my channel so you can get more content. This is to help anybody who's a caregiver. Now we're going to identify some tasks. So first you want to be able to look at, as a caregiver, what needs to be done? Where can I alleviate some of this responsibility and not be the caregiver, but be the care manager? So I'm going to delegate to other people what I need help with because that alleviates some pressure off of me and allows me to get the appropriate rest that I need. So the first step in delegation is really clarity, understanding and clearly defining where you need the help. Right? So one of the things that I'm going to ask you guys to do, if you are a caregiver and you feel yourself starting to be on the verge of being overwhelmed, overwhelmed about having to pay all the bills and still give support to my partner. So let me tell you something, girl, yo, I got stories for you, but that's a whole nother live. So when you are in the situation where you're feeling overwhelmed, and you still have to support your partner and you're a new parent and you also pay all the bills, it really is important to sit down and have that frank, honest discussion about what needs to be done, what tasks need to be divvied up, where your partner can help you, right? And if your partner can't help you, look outside of your relationship to see who can help you, who's willing to help. I don't even care. We're going to get into the conversation, if you need any help that comes from other people. People always say, if you need any help, I'm here. Well, you know what? Call them. If they really truly want to help, call them, right? So many people say that if you ever need any help, oh my goodness, I am here for you. Well, take them up on it and see if they're really there for you, right? Start with those people first. It overwhelmed your spirit and made you so happy. Yeah, it is. Being a new parent is a tricky time because you love the baby. You love being a parent. But also it is very stressful because it's uncharted territories if you've never been there before. But I'm going to tell you this, Yo-Yo. This time frame that you're in, I don't know how old your baby is, doesn't last that long. It to me, it flies by. And new parents or older parents who've gone through this, if you're on, drop in the chats if you feel the same way. So the infant newborn stage for me, it really didn't last that long. It was about really getting to learn my baby, getting them on my sleep schedule. Hello, Gordon, how are you? Once they got on my sleep schedule and once I was able to delegate assistance from their dad, then things went a lot smoother and I was able to ask for help too. So I know it's stressful, but I'm going to tell you on the back end, right? I'm going to tell you this on the back end. My oldest just got married, so obviously I have grown children, right? I have one who, is very grown. I have three. One, if you look at my video on my channel, my son looks like he's in his 30s, but he's not, right? He's my third. And so when I tell you it's very stressful in the beginning, but if you do it right, it is one of the best rewards in the world to look at my children who are adults, see them independent and making decisions. I'm not trying to get emotional on live, right? To see the kind of people that they have turned into. I'm a proud mom. So, yo, it is stressful. It can be overwhelming. But my goodness, if you hang in there, it will be worth the reward. When my kids were younger, the relationship dynamics changes, right? As a parent. And if any of you all are parents, you tell me if you feel the same way. I went from talking to my children to talking with my children. I can't tell you how that feels. So I have a 15-year-old now, and I'm going through this with her. I've stopped and I noticed the dynamics of our relationship is changing. I'm no longer talking at her as much as I'm talking with her. I'm understanding her and she's changing. And in my mind, I'm going, here I go again. So we're not going to talk about this too much because I'm going to get emotional. Here I go again. Oh my goodness, it's a blessing and a reward. So if you are a new parent, you're obviously a caregiver, but it is a beautiful life lesson and experience to see your young ones grow up into mature, responsible adults. And so hang in there, yo-yo. It is stressful. You are overwhelmed, but be happy and joyous and know that it only gets better when you do it right and you are a parent to your child and a caregiver. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. We're going to go back to delegating because you're going to get me off topic. And this, instead of talking about being delegating responsibility and task as a caregiver, will go into an emotional sob moment because, I feel like I just had each of my children yesterday and now they're grown. Okay, so getting into creating a care task inventory. Thank you for the hearts, the smiley faces, trust me. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Really, one of the things you can do is start writing down all of the tasks that you handle as a caregiver. And so just write down no matter how big and small it is. I help them go back and forth to the bathroom. I bathe them. I feed them. I make their doctor's appointments. I take them to the doctor's appointments. I arrange for transportation to the doctor's appointments. Write down everything that you are responsible for as a caregiver to your care recipient, your loved one, for an entire week. Just keep a running log. And then once you have the list, I want you to separate it into 3 different categories. So here's where the education piece comes in. If you're feeling very overwhelmed as a caregiver and you're trying to find that support system, you start with writing that care task inventory, write down and keep that list for about a week, and then start to do separate the list into 3 separate categories. One, it has to be done by you. Those are the tasks that you segment out. You have to do them. Be honest when you're doing this part now. Because if you're not honest with yourself, you'll hold on to stuff that you probably could delegate, right? So be honest. This has to be done by me. I have to do it. No one else can do it. Maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe a bill has to be paid and you have access to the financial accounts for this person. This only has to be done by you. And so the other person, sometimes you have people who come in and you just, they come on the live and they start stuff. We just going to take them out real quick. And the second task is it could be done by someone else. So that's the second area. When you have this task inventory list that you've kept for a week, you go back and you review it when you have some time and you say, these are the tasks that have to be done by me that I can only take care of. These are the tasks that could be done by someone else. Okay. And so I could look for someone in my support system who's going to help me with this task. Okay. The third area where you want to look at is this could be automated or simplified. And so sometimes we make things too difficult. As humans, we have a tendency to make things too difficult, right? It could be easier. We could make it easier, but we don't do that. We go ahead and we make it harder than it has to be. There's a song that says that, right? We make it harder than it has to be. You guys have heard that line, right? But if you keep making things harder than it has to be, then you eventually will feel like I'm back at number one. I got to do everything myself and I'm going to have burnout and be exhausted. And that's where we don't want you to be. And so when you make that task inventory list and you start looking in those three areas, must be done by me, could be done by someone else, could be automated or simplified, then you become a care manager. Not just a caregiver, but you're a care manager because you're going to start realizing there's some things that you can delegate. Delegate sometimes doesn't mean that you got to get another human to do it, right? As far as your support system, you could automatically set things up online. And we know that, right? DoorDash, Uber, all the Instacart, these places now that actually will do your shopping for you. You can go on Amazon and have it delivered to you. So sometimes we got to look at the easy way to do things. Your grocery shopping, your cleaning, or driving to appointments could be shared by other people, or you could look for automated services that will help you to do that. And so that's what that care task inventory list is going to help you with. When you see everything written out, it's going to help you realize where you can delegate and where you need to ask for assistance. And also, it's going to help you realize where you've been getting tired. So, like I said before, I didn't have time to go to the grocery store today. I didn't. And so I needed to make sure that my family and my mom is well fed. And so, in order to do that, I've got to delegate some responsibilities. And that's what I worked on doing today. So, here's some things that you can think of in your task inventory list that will possibly be delegated to other people. One, meal prep or delivery, right? Maybe you could do that, have that automated, have that set up depending on the cost, or either you get the food delivered to you and you do the meal prep for a week. You also, what about errands and grocery runs, house cleaning, transportation, companionship visits? If you visit our website at www.hansoncaregivingconsultingservices.com, there is actually a digital packet that's available to show you how to interview for a companion or a caregiver. Whatever one you need, you're able to look at the digital packet on our website, download it, and be able to see which one you need. And then administrative or insurance paperwork. Do you need to handle that, or can that be delegated to someone else? Laundry or light chores. Do you need to handle that, or could that be delegated to someone else? So your care task inventory list is going to help you with that, because what you want to think about is, what caregiving task can I assign to someone and get help with right now that would alleviate me having to feel stressed or feel overwhelmed like I'm in this all alone? And so you don't ever want to feel overwhelmed or like you're doing this all alone. How, as a caregiver, for those of you guys who jump on or those who are watching, as a caregiver, put in the comments for me what you have done or what you would consider as a task that you could do as far as delegating to other people to get assistance that you need. So that's also important. So the next area that we're going to talk about, and I'm looking once again at my notes, is assign the right person to the task. So I've got this care task inventory list. I've separated it into 3 different segments. Things that must be done by me, right? Maybe paying household bills because I have access to the financial accounts for this person. Things that could be done by someone else. So grocery shopping, maybe meal prep, that could be assigned to someone else. And then also things that could be automated or simplified. So can I get transportation assistance and services? Can someone else actually do the meal prep, and simplify that for me? Maybe I need to prepare several meals on one day and then just make sure that things are stacked up so that I could retrieve them as a caregiver and not have to worry about, doing it all by myself every day to alleviate that. So we've got our care task inventory list. The next thing we want to do is assign the right person to the right task so that the task is completed, because now you're not a caregiver, you're a care manager, and you're making sure that the right person has the delegation or has been delegated to that task. And so what you want to do is start thinking about who can help. So remember I said before in the earlier video, you have people who, offer to help. Oh, I can help. Call me if you ever need me. Well, start calling them. Start calling them. They offered to help. So don't feel like you can't pick up the phone and actually communicate with them that you need them to help you with an assigned task. If someone offers to help, sometimes we sit back and we go, I can't call them. Yes, you can. Especially if they're the type of person that has repetitively told you, you know what, I'm here. I'm here. Call me if you need help. Start calling them. You're a caregiver and you need to become a care manager and you're tired and burnt out and you're exhausted and overwhelmed and you feel like you're doing this alone because you are doing it alone because you won't call anybody, you won't ask for help. Yeah, I said that all in one breath. And so we need to start delegating and asking for assistance. So start looking at your friends, start looking at your family members and community volunteers. Look for professionals that can help you and start delegating some of these tasks to them. Hello, Zeno, how are you? Start delegating some of these tasks to them and make sure that you're getting the assistance that you need. The key, though, when you're doing the delegation is to match a person's skills to the task that you need assistance with. So, for instance, if the person is going to, I'm doing well. We're talking about delegating as a caregiver, and we all are caregivers at some stage in our life. And so people who are caregivers frequently are overwhelmed and exhausted. And so when they learn to delegate responsibilities, it's going to help them to get the rest and relief that they need. So the key to delegating responsibilities, though, is matching the person with the right skills to the right task. That's what's going to help you. So if you have a sibling, for instance, that's good with money, maybe they're the ones that's going to handle the bills for the care recipient and also the insurance requirements, right? Thank you for the hearts. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Remember to share this out because I'm going to post a live later and tell people about the channel. We're here to support caregivers because we focus sometimes on the care recipients that we don't focus on the caregiver. And that's what my business and this channel is about. What about having a neighbor who loves to cook, right? The neighbor, I'm caregiving for my granny with dementia. Well done to you, Zano. Well done to you. That is excellent. And so that's what we're talking about. Now, Zano, do you delegate responsibility and ask for help so that you are getting your rest that you need? Because that's very important. I know what that's like. I'm a caregiver to my mom. I have been a caregiver to a former spouse. And so it helps me to appreciate. Sometimes we often overlook our own health, our own needs, our own, mental and emotional health in order to care for the recipient. And they deserve it because we love them. But you want to make sure that you don't have burnout as well and that you're not exhausted. So that's one of the things. Yes, you and your brother are sharing. Good job. Well done. So when you have that support system in place and you have delegated responsibility to who does what, it makes it so much easier so that you and your brother can get the rest that you need. And so that's what we talk about on this channel, really helping us and people who need, they could be getting caregiving, like starting caregiving services and not know where to start and not know how important it is. And then all of a sudden you've hit a wall and you've got burnout and you don't know why. Right? And so we don't want that to happen to people. So if you have a neighbor that loves to cook, somebody that you trust, don't be taking food and candy from everybody, I'm be honest with you. But maybe they might want to drop a meal off. You know, that auntie who cooks well, oh my goodness, her food is on point and it's something that the care recipient or the family can eat. Allow them to do the cooking if they've offered and drop it off. See if they can do a meal once a week. That would take some of the pressure off you. You have a trusted friend who drives and you've got to make those medical appointments for your loved one and you need assistance with that. My biggest fear, I transport my mom when I'm able to get her into my truck. I will transport her in my truck. But I will hate the day I go out there and that truck doesn't start and I need help from a friend. And so having that support system already lined up about who I can call, who I can get assistance from is great help indeed. And it helps take some of the pressure off of me while I'm providing care. So you don't have to ask one person to do everything. Instead, assign small, specific tasks to people who are willing to help to be your support system. The one thing about our friends and family, and Zano, you probably noticed too, is that when you are tired, when you are exhausted, you may think you're fooling people, right? You may think you're hiding it, but they know. Right? And so that ride or die, that ace who's your friend, your spouse, your children, when they know you so well, they know you better than you think. And so even though you walk around and I do this, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. They know exactly when I'm not fine, and they know that they need to pitch in and help if it's something that I'm handling that I could delegate. And so it's so important to realize that there are people outside of the sphere of your immediate family that could also offer assistance and give that care that is needed to your care recipient, your loved one. So think about this. Who in your circle could help if they just knew what to do? Why don't you tag them or write up their role and then tell them what you need assistance with, and drop in the comments, if you are a caregiver, who you likely will tag to ask for assistance because you need that help. And that's what you're going to do. So you've got your care task inventory list that we've already talked about. And now you are starting to put a name to each skill that can be delegated. Remember, that first category is it has to be done by you and only by you. But that second category where it could be done by somebody else, or that third category where you can get it automated or simplified, that's who you want to start assigning those skills with the task. Zano says, yes, you are so relatable. Thank you. I'm glad my brother is contributing because I'm also a mother of four. Girl, got you. I'm a mom of five. You, girl, hello. You're walking the journey with me, Zano. I appreciate you because it's not easy. But you know what? We as a community get it done. We as a community. And that's the ultimate love. When you think about your grandmother, when I think about my mother, this is, oh, you got to get dinner started? Thank you so much. Girl, I got my son-in-law cooking my dinner, so I'm happy. So I understand that too. Let me tell you something. When you think about the love and care and the nurture that your grandmother, my mother, other people, your grandfather, people, your dad, your spouse, if you're giving care to a spouse, even your children have given you. When it's your turn, they're more than worth it. They are more than worth it. What we just want to make sure is that you as a caregiver don't burn yourself out, because you can do that. All right, we're going to move along because I said I'm going to stay here for an hour, and then I got to jump on another channel because, I don't know how to do the whole dual thing. I'm going to learn it as I go, but, maybe I'm dating myself here. Let's talk about building a reliable care support team, how to do that. We're going to talk about delegation, how it works when you have a team. And so what we're going to do is talk about several steps. And thank you for the hearts. You guys are awesome. Zano, enjoy your meal with your family and enjoy your grandmother and your brother, and tell him I said hello too. Because you know what? This is about family and community and helping each other out. So let's talk about how to create and manage a caregiving team. Number one, list your resources. So when I say you've got your care task inventory, you've got those two areas where you need help from someone else, or you can get it automated or simplified. You're going to match the right person with the right skills to the right task. This is how you do it. You start to list who has ever offered to help you, whether it be a family member you don't frequently communicate with, a family friend that is your ride or die, has always been there, but you really don't ask them for help, or someone in your community that knows the care recipient, that the care recipient feels comfortable with, and you as a family feel comfortable with them too, that has offered to help. Just write their name down. Even if it's a casual offer and they say they can help with something, write the name down. Just go ahead and write it down. And then hold a short care meeting. Now, what is a care meeting? This is a meeting where you talk to the person and say, hey, listen, I need help with this. This is the loved one my care recipient's needs. And I need to know if your schedule can assist me in this specific task with this loved one. It could be a one-time off. It could be a weekly thing, a monthly thing you need help with, a bi-monthly, quarterly, but whatever it is, ask that person with that skill set if they can help you with that task as a caregiver for the care recipient. So that's going to be so important, because now you're starting to build your support team. So sometimes we think we are in this alone, but we're not. We're not in it alone. We just haven't asked people. We haven't asked for help. And so here's how you do it. Some people, when I've been doing these lives before, have said, I'm all alone. But I say, have you built a support system? And they say, no. And they say they don't know how to build a support system. So now I'm telling you how to build that support system, right? You've got your care task inventory, which we talked about earlier. You also now have your support list as far as what you need help with or what can be automated and simplified. Now you're writing your list of people and having these short care meetings with them to tell them what is needed for you and your care recipient. So then after they commit to something, have that shared calendar, create a shared calendar with them on that task so that they know what you need help with, when they need, what day, and time. Be very direct and specific and detailed so they know exactly what's required of them. And so when you create that shared calendar, whether it's like a Google Calendar, a lot of times I'll put it in, I have a family chat for family members, but I also have appointments that I put on my calendar and my phone. And then I'll share that with my family members. And so that's another way we're able to communicate who's on what schedule and what needs to be done. So create a shared calendar with people that are now in your support system because you're building this and you need to be very detailed with them. Once again, let them know when, let them know why, let them know how, let them know what is involved. And then also when you set up that shared calendar, make sure you put in there an alert the day before, 2 days before this event is coming, and I'm gonna need your help. Remember, you committed to this. Give them a phone call the night before and make sure that you are communicating clearly. Now, let me just say this real quick. Communication is so important. That's why you're so detailed. But the one thing people forget to say as a caregiver, when you have a support system in place and they're willing to help you, say thank you, please. Express gratitude, right? Give updates and make sure that that person that is a part of your support system knows that what they did, no matter how big or small, is appreciated and valued. Let them know how much you appreciate it. Even if the care recipient can't say it, you as a caregiver, please make sure you communicate that back to them so that they know that they are valued for all of the assistance. We train our children to say thank you and please, right? But then sometimes, somewhere along the way in life, sometimes people forget that those words are powerful and those words can continue to motivate people to continue to offer support. Drop a little card to them. If they do something for you on a regular basis, drop a little card. Give them a little gift. Let them know that they're valued. And then also, if something needs to change as far as the task that you need help with, revisit that care task skill as well as the task itself, that inventory list, and see whether or not you need to swap out who you've asked for help on a certain task. So that's how we build a reliable care support team. Have you ever had a family care meeting as a caregiver? You feel like you're going alone, you're overwhelmed. Have you ever sat down and actually pulled everybody together? Now we have so many different tools that you can use. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can have a Zoom meeting. Have a Zoom meeting, right? Set up a Google Teams or Google Meets or whatever call, and then have that meeting in order for them to understand what you need help with as part of your support system and see if it's something that you're going to need further assistance with. If it's something that's out of the realm of your immediate support system, maybe you need to start talking about professional support. Maybe you need to have someone come in the home, a home health aide or respite care, adult day program, or a nurse visit your team, visit you and help as part of your support team. Now, if you go on our website, once again, there are different digital products that are there too to help you identify when it may be time for respite care or an adult daycare or assisted living or nursing home. These are things that people have questions about, and those resources are available on our website as well. So the main thing is that the caregiver is getting the rest that they need. Now, talking about rest, every caregiver is going to need a vacation at some point, whether mini or long, a mini vacation, a weekend getaway, or a long getaway, because you are going to need to rest and relax. So the final thing we're going to talk about is delegating while we're away. You have to prepare for a vacation or a break, and you want to make sure that things flow smoothly, that your care recipient is still getting the care that they need, right? And so one of the things you're going to do is talk about how you as a caregiver can take a break. Here are some suggestions because you as a caregiver, you deserve a break and a vacation too. Rest is not selfish. Resting as a caregiver is being responsible. It's realizing that as a human taking care of another human, you're going to need a vacation. And you're going to need to recharge and reset yourself so that you can get some focus and come back as a better caregiver to your care recipient. And in order to plan this out effectively, to delegate responsibilities, you got to be a care manager. And so here's some things that will help you to delegate effectively before you go away. First of all, plan as far ahead as you possibly can. You and I both know the last minute plans may not work. It doesn't work in my regular life, let alone as my caregiver life. Okay. So plan ahead, give at least 2 weeks notice to your care team, family members, your support system, the friends that have offered to help, and let them know. Now, if you're planning for a mini getaway, 2 weeks is good. But if you're going to be gone for weeks at a time, you're going overseas, make sure that you give the moment you book that flight to go overseas and you know you're going to be gone for a while, start lining up and letting people know right then and there that you're going to be out of the country and that you're going to need their help because they offered to give you support and you want their help. And so you want to build and create a care binder or a digital file with many of the things that we've already talked about in previous videos and on our website. Have that medical information for your care recipient available, medication lists, their routine, emergency contacts, notes on their preferences, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, time of day they wake up, where they like to go, what they're going to need detailed assistance with is what you're going to put in that care binder. And then you're going to assign clear roles to those who have offered support. So you're going to have someone who oversees the meals, another who manages the medications. It might be two people, right, that will have to do both of those things. Another who handles emotional check-ins. Sometimes people just like to call. They'll call and talk to the recipient, just to make sure they're okay. And that helps them mentally and emotionally too. They're going to miss you not being there because they're so used to you being there as a caregiver. And so to make them feel comfortable and at ease, have people calling just to check in on them. That makes a world of a difference. And it takes their mind off of the focus that you're not there until you can get back. And then also have daily check-ins or text updates. That's going to ease your mind because even though you're not directly rendering care, you're still going to be thinking about the care recipient. I don't care where you are because you want to make sure that person's okay. And so you're going to be able to set up communication protocols. I want to be texted. I want to be informed. I want to know what's going on. It's not that I'm not allowing myself to rest, but I love that person. I need to make sure they're okay. And knowing that they're okay allows me to relax and then me to be okay. And so also release the guilt. Your loved ones' benefits is that you're going to be refreshed when you return, right? That's going to be a benefit to them. They're going to get you upgraded, right? You relaxed, you who are able to help them and focus on their care because you've gotten an appropriate rest and relaxation as a caregiver. And that's something that delegating responsibilities to the right persons will help you to do so you can go on a vacation. You can relax and rest assured that they're okay. So tell me in the comments later, tell me, when's the last time you as a caregiver, care manager, had a break, right? See, if you're a caregiver, you really are always on. But if you're a care manager, you're going to start delegating and you're going to start realizing that you can take the break and you can get relaxed when you need to be. So just remember, delegation is not a weakness. It really isn't. It's a leadership skill. When you delegate to other people responsibilities, I'm going to read my notes right here. When you delegate, you empower others to be part of the journey and you protect your health, your relationships, and your peace. So when you delegate to other people, you allow other people to be part of that journey of being a caregiver. You allow yourself to protect your health, your relationships, and your inner peace. And how valuable is that? You can't put a dollar figure to that. So here's your action plan for this week, okay? And going on to next week. Make your task inventory list. This is the first key and step that you're going to have as far as delegating as a caregiver. Make your care task inventory list. Identify one thing that you can delegate because sometimes we have a problem letting go. Now, if you can delegate more, that's fine. But if you can at least delegate one thing to someone else, that would be great. Call or text one person who can help you with that task that you want to delegate. And so remember, now you're starting to think not as a caregiver, but as a care manager. And caregiving is very much a team effort. If you have a support system, people who've offered, let them help. And if you need help building your plan, some of the things that we discussed here more in detail, visit me at Hanson Caregiving Consulting Services, LLC, or Hanson Caregiving Consulting Services.com. And not only download our digital tools, but schedule, we have a half an hour, 1 hour, and a 2 hour, I believe, consultation package that's going to help walk you through this process so that you can then start to outline what you need to do in order to become not only a care manager, a caregiver, but also a care manager. You're not alone. You're part of a community that believes that caregiving should be done without burnout. So that's it for the live today, guys. Hopefully you'll be able to view this later. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel and share this information with people who need it. Because at some point in your life, you're going to be a caregiver. And at some point, you're going to realize you can't pour from an empty cup. Until I'll be back on, I'm going to do one more later this week. And I'll highlight what we're talking about before I come on. So this is your girl, Essie. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, share, yada, yada, yada. Visit our website at www.hansoncaregivingconsultingservices.com. I'm out.